Once again, like, what the fuck was that Square Enix trash can?
Oh, The Quiet Man.
Yeah, much like The Quiet Man. I'll give you my story, and then we can go from there.
It bothers me so much that I knew what the fuck you were talking about.
That I could just say, that Square Enix trash can, and you were like, oh, that one.
Well, I think it was make up your own story, because that's really not... That Square Enix trash can is what? Most of Square Enix?
Half the games we play anymore?
God.
Can't wait! Kingdom Hearts 3, we coming for that ass.
I don't wanna, and not because I like the franchise, because I never played it, and fuck Disney. I don't want to spend that much time playing fucking Kingdom Hearts.
No! It's gonna be a nightmare!
It's never gonna fucking end.
Never!
Close my eyes and see fucking Dolan and Gooby. Actually, I take it back. That's the, where's the fan game of that? Oh my god. I don't want that. I do not want it. Welcome back to the Bad Gamecast. This is Jake.
Jason!
And this time we played...
Oh, you want me to go with my version first?
Lichdom, Battlemage.
Lycan, Bagel Thief! You play as a werewolf that steals bagels.
Wait. A lichen can be anything that changes into anything else, right?
Kind of?
Nah. Now, I guess lycanthropy would mean you turn into a wolf?
Yeah.
Right. But it wouldn't necessarily have to be a person.
No, you could be something else and still be a lycanthrope.
A hedgehog, maybe?
I'm going to murder you now.
I accept that.
All right, so welcome back to the Bad Gamecast. This is your solo host, Jason. That fucking corpse in the corner, that's Jake. All they see you hear right now is just wind escaping his tortured body. Fuck that dude.
Excuse me. All right. Game face.
Game face on?
Lichdom Battlemage, released for PC 2014, on console 2016, developed by Xavient, produced on PC by Xavient, and on console by Maximum. Do you remember Maximum?
Maximum!
You know, from Maximum Family Games.
I don't actually have any
Rugby
idea who they are.
15.
What?
Rugby 15.
Oh, cool.
I mean,
The Rugglebees.
they're a producer, so not everything they do is shit.
Yeah, probably. Maybe.
If I recall, like, they had a couple decent titles in there. The Repertoire? That's not the right
Repertoire?
word. Anyway, whatever. All right, other games released in whenever. I went 2014. Alien Isolation, Hearthstone, and Elder Scrolls Online. Did I go 2014?
Did you? I'm gonna talk while he searches. So this was, there's many ways I've considered mispronouncing this game, and I don't know if I'm going to continue or not. Because the name is stupid. I'm going to start right here, front and center. The name is stupid. Lichdom Battlemage is a terrible name, and they should have changed it to something else.
Yeah, it is a fuck awful name. And yeah, that is 2014.
I would have just accepted Lichdom. I would have accepted just Battlemage.
Battlemage would have made more sense.
It would have.
You don't become a lich.
There is no, I guess, technically you have the undead power.
I mean, Roth is a lich.
So you can raise dead, but...
He makes you a battle mage.
I don't... Yeah.
Yeah.
Story!
Boom.
Alright. Anyone who has watched our Twitch channel knows that we do a race through games. Every Wednesday and Thursday. I do Wednesdays, Jake does Thursdays. And we race through the same game. We did this game as part of our race. Kind of a blind game that was something that we knew was going to be part of our potential bad games that we got off of a bundle for like a nickel.
Mm-hmm.
So we raced through it, which means there was a bit of skipping on my part, but I'll give you the best summary of what I can tell from this game. So you play as a dragon. That's what they call you from the beginning. They're like, you're going to be a dragon. You're not. You're a person. It's much more boring.
You know, at least it's clear out of the gate.
So you can be a male dragon or a female dragon. Naturally, I went for the female dragon, and I named myself Sparkles.
I went male, and his name was Dargren.
So Dabron and Sparkles, great dragon names. Which then I just have to imagine, because your character doesn't start out as this weird, you just start out as a regular person. So I like the female, you're a shopkeeper who runs like a jewelry shop. And I just love the fact that I'm this woman owning and running a jewelry shop, and her name is Sparkles. It's A+.
Male's a smith.
So you're doing your shopping thing. You run this shop, and then bam, the door opens. Bad guy enters. And it's not like this guy could be bad. It's just like, this is the bad guy. He is evil. He's like, give me that necklace. And you're like, it's my sister's necklace, because your sister's there with you. And he's like, fine, I'll take the woman too. And then his goon grabs her, and you're like, no, stop. And they stab you and you die.
If you play as the male and you're a smith, you make a kick-ass sword. Evil bad guy kicks the door and goes, I want to buy that sword. And you're like, it's not for sale. And then he murders you and your wife.
So then Roth brings you back to life with his magic powers. He is full of magic powers.
He is full of magic and mice.
So he gives you this bracer and this ring. The bracer lets you channel magic. The ring means whenever you die, you just like resurrect.
Weird.
Yeah. So he gives you 2 incredibly powerful magic items to start off the game.
See, I thought it was both bracers for the dude. And I could be mistaken, because this was in the very beginning.
Well, you get 2 bracers.
Yeah.
And a magic ring.
Oh, okay.
The magic ring is just like what brings you back.
Oh, I thought it was the bracers. I totally spaced the ring part.
Oh. Well, it...
I mean, it comes into play later, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So, you get your stuff. He teaches you magic. Basic, like magic. You learn fire magic. You fire people to death. You learn ice magic. You ice people to freeze and then have to fire them to death. You learn gravity magic and gravity to stop them and then fire them to death. I really wanted to run a set of 3 different elements that did no damage.
You don't. It sucks.
just do like gravity, ice, and like corruption. Well, I guess corruption does damage eventually.
I mean, you could make it not do damage.
Necromancy? Is that...
Yeah, necromancy doesn't do any
gravity,
damage.
ice, and necromancy.
Yeah. Well, doesn't ice do damage, though?
No. Ice. You cannot kill someone with ice.
Oh. I mean, you could with mine, but...
Not at least not that I noticed.
No, that was finagling and with spellcrafting, which we'll get into.
Sure.
Not the default...
Freeze beam.
Yeah, freeze beam. So the Sub-Zero shit that you do.
Yeah. You are chasing after the people who killed you. You hunt down the goon in command. What the fuck was his name?
It starts with an R.
R. You kill him. Then you chase down the guy who killed you. Or the main bad guy.
It was Lord Shax.
Shax. You kill him, kind of.
I mean, you kill him. He just doesn't stay dead.
Yeah. You kill him and then you... God, is there a time skip?
Nope.
No? So he just, like, his kids are out there somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, so... Then, like...
Okay, hold on. Roth, in exchange for these powers, wants you to stop Shax, which you were going to do anyway because you're suddenly a badass and you want to go kill the guy what killed you and stole your sister or murdered your wife, respectively. Roth asks that in the process of doing that, you take over his reliquaries, which are the source of his powers, that the evil cult Shax leads is trying to take over.
Yes.
Which is why you go to the different locations pretty much apropos of nothing.
Yeah, you go a place, you fight your way through the cultists and the undead, get to a magic totem of power, fight the boss, unlock the totem. It gives you a new element. That's the whole game. Oh, I mean,
Well, it's like halfway through when you have all of them.
So then you... Roth.
Twins.
Huh? Well, that's after Roth switches bodies, right? He does the Mouso-Chango switch trick.
Yeah, a mouse crawls out of his throat and crawls into a new dead guy, and he gets up like, haha, body upgrade.
Yeah.
And the dragon and the griffin, who is the other character you didn't choose, are both like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was normal.
And he's just like, I'm out, bitches.
I don't have to be an old man anymore. I get to be the emperor or whatever. The advisor?
He was some, like, cleric or something.
Yeah.
He was in some position of power in a kingdom that doesn't really come into play.
Doesn't matter at all. So then you need to go, you're like, well, I guess I'll go kill Shax's kids because fuck them.
Oh, and they're so awful.
They're just dumb.
No, it's not the Lannister thing that they have going on, which is bad, right? Like, it's gross because they're, like, overly on each other's nuts. It's gross. It's how they finish each other's sentences, which is fucking irritating. Ugh.
Yeah, it's funny that they do it because they don't even do it well.
Nope.
One of them will start speaking, and then there's a clear cut, and then a pause, and then the other one finishes their sentence.
You mean it's almost like they were recorded at 2 separate times and somebody edited it together?
Poorly, yeah. So it's just, it doesn't feel like they're naturally finishing each other's sentence. It feels like one of them finishes their sentence, or half of their sentence, and looks at the other one and is like, come on. And they're like, oh shit, and then finishes their sentence.
Do the thing. You know, I love it when you do the thing.
Yeah. That was probably too creepy. I'm sorry, folks. I'm gonna reel it back in real quick. All right. So you go after them. The dude like pilots a golem or something. Except he's not in it, but then you blow up the golem and he dies.
Yeah, that's not how it worked for me.
Oh?
But that's not how, like, the previous boss fights with the dude worked at all. Like, the R guy, I killed the boss there before he died, whatever big monster it was. And then Shax was the same way. Like, I killed whatever monster it was, and then, like, I killed Shax after.
Yeah.
And this doofus is no different. Like, I took out the golem, and then I murdered him when he's just standing there like, well, what the fuck do I do now? It's die, bitch.
Did you? I doubt it.
I'm pretty sure.
Because the golem summons, like, lieutenants. That's not him.
I don't know. I didn't deal with any of them because necromancy.
Yeah, he, like, is up on the cliff.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
It's super weird.
I just figured he was running around on the field like
nope.
The rest of the assholes always do.
He never actually engages in the fight.
Huh. Well, then what kills him?
I don't know.
Besides being a giant pussy.
The severing of the magic of the golem.
I mean, I guess that'll do it.
I guess. So you blow up the golem and he dies. And then you go forward and haha, it was secretly a trap from his sister and zombie demon Shax.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got the dragon. And they kind of start to fuck off. And the griffin shows up and is like, hey, yo, they took your regeneration ring. Here's mine. I'm gonna kill you now. Because it's a secret trick. See, when you reassemble from death, you reassemble at the nearest checkpoint. So he kills you, and obviously you're chained up. So now you're not chained up because you just reassemble back at the nearest checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful magic.
That was I thought that was actually kind of neat.
Yeah, no, it was kind of an amusing like way around the to find a solution to move you forward.
Yeah.
Of course, then it was like painfully obvious when it was like, well, now you're gonna hunt them down to save the griffin, and I was like, the griffin's gonna die.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Then you chase after them and the griffin because the griffin is now chained up in your place. And you chase after them through a level. And then you get to the boss, which is the female twin. And she kills the griffin right as you get there.
Hadira.
Yeah. She was a boring boss fight for me.
She was a boring boss fight for me too.
Because she has these pillars in her area that you can just hide behind. And all of her attacks just hit it. And you just pop out and peg the shit out of her.
I didn't even do that.
Yeah.
I just kept moving.
Sure.
Like, she dropped me once. I came back in and then killed her the second time.
Same. I was pissed off that she even dropped me once.
Yeah.
She was super easy. Way easier than that crab monster. Fucking
I know. I didn't have any problem with the crab. Crab barely touched me. Fuck you, crabs.
Stupid crab. So you do that, and then you just go to hunt down Shax. Once you kill her, you run through a bazillion swamps for no reason. I seriously don't remember why you're in that swamp.
The swamp, it's just you're making your way to the... Okay. I'm going to backpedal a bit.
Sure.
The cult is trying to create another doomsday device. They made one before, and there was a war that fought, and it destroyed the moon. They were trying to crash the moon into the surface of the planet.
That's dumb.
Yeah. A lot of the backstory that you get for this game is told through flashbacks on like little glowing orb pickups where you listen to the previous dragon and griffin as they go about basically the same thing that you're doing in an attempt to stop Shax.
Yes, it's entirely optional little like audio visual logs.
Yeah.
That you can interact with or not. It's weird.
It is super weird. And you have to stay there and listen to it if you want to see what happens.
Yes.
And you get like a little crafting piece for sticking it out, which is whatever. One of the things you missed is that the twins, Hidira and Hidaro, the previous Griffin and Dragon killed, and Shax brought them back.
Oh, yeah, right.
When they were fucking some bullshit with the water. You're in the swamp, making your way towards where the Doomsday weapon is, which is where you fight Hidira.
Yeah.
And then from there, you make your way towards Shax's castle.
Yeah, you go to the city to
go
to the castle.
Which I guess is just the regular castle, and Shax is just in the throne room.
Yeah.
Being a big old whiny bitch.
Mm-hmm. It's all... You do that. You fight your way through the city to Shax.
It's a bunch of fucking demons.
Bunch of demons. I'm a freaking demon. You fight Shax. You know, synergies, bitch.
Oh. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. And then you drop an ice fire tornado on his head and he just dies.
He fucking really does.
He's just like, hoodoo! And he's dead. That's the game.
Just such a stupid amount of damage.
So, gameplay wise, you have, you're running around. You can't jump, which is bullshit, and the game loses points immediately.
Fucking A.
That's unacceptable.
I don't know how many games I've said, if you can't jump, it takes me right out of it, and that blows.
Yeah. Especially in a game like this. Because, like, I should be able to jump.
I mean, it's not like you have anywhere to jump to, but yes, you should.
Yeah. I don't even care that it's, like, mostly irrelevant. I should be able to jump. So there's, like, a dash that you can use to try to evade. It's terrible and barely evades.
It apparently depends on what shield you have.
Yeah.
And yes, like, for the most of the time I was using an agile shield, which doesn't scoot you very far.
No.
So it's fucking useless.
So you have 3 elements that you can have equipped at any one time, but you can only have one element active at any one time. So, like, you can't shoot fire and ice at the same time. You have to shoot your fire, switch to ice, shoot ice. Each spell has, I want to say 3, but only kind of. Each spell has 3, each type of magic has 3 spells.
Well, it's shapes, right?
You have your attack shape, which is sort of like your single hold, which is going to be like your beams, your balls, your bolts.
I got you, right? This is directly from the Wikipedia page, which I thought summed it up fairly nicely. Magic spells can be equipped and have 3 components the players receive by looting enemies or objects in the world. First, a player chooses a sigil to craft the spell under. The spell can be used by the sigil it is made with. Next, the player chooses a pattern to attach the crafted spell, determining how the spell is delivered. The 3 types of patterns are Targeted, which shoots a direct version of the element, Nova, which teleports the player and creates a wave that damages nearby enemies, and AoE, which damages all enemies within the area range of the spell. Finally, one or multiple augments can be applied by the crafting recipe depending on which pattern, or what the pattern allows for. Augments enhance certain aspects of the spell statistics in specialized ways. A destruction augment will allow for the player to deal more damage when the spell is cast. A control augment will cause the element-specific effect to be enhanced, and a mastery augment will debuff an enemy and allow for more damage to be inflicted. Spells that have been crafted can likewise be deconstructed into smaller components.
Yes. How do Novas actually work?
No idea.
Right? Because that's like your shield. It's when you block, is your Novas activate.
Ah, okay then. You have to get the timing right when you bring it up, like pretty much right when the hit would land you.
Yeah.
It is not very forgiving.
It is not. So, like, your Nova slot is going to be your worst slot, and you can mostly ignore it most of the time.
I mean, unless you get really good at the blocking, which isn't difficult. It's just, like, getting the enemy timing down.
Yeah. It's also, I don't know. For me, I felt that my Nova was never strong enough that blocking made more sense than just DPS. Like, kill them before they kill you.
Oh, yeah. Because this is a first person where you're slinging spells and it plays like a shooter, I'm moving. I'm not standing there to take the hit.
No.
Dodge, 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 return fire, return fire.
Run, dodge, shoot the whole time.
Yeah.
Base gameplay is basically you can either clear through all the enemies. You actually don't have to fight most of the time. You can actually sprint straight through a lot of the game. As I found out after like the first couple levels where I was just like, I'm gonna just run. Turns out you can do that. You can just run through most of the game. There will be a few checkpoint stops through the game where there will be a big green shield and you can't advance until you kill all the enemies nearby.
Yep.
So these are just like basic enemies. There will be people who shoot things at you, some melee dudes. Sometimes there's like necromancers. Late game, there's demons.
Yeah, there's 3 types of enemies: the undead, the cultists, and demons.
Yeah.
And they have different types of soldiers.
Each one comes with like a melee, a range, and a mage. Some a bit more than that, but you know.
Yeah, the demons kind of cross-class there, but yeah.
That's what you're going to be fighting for most of the game.
Oh, and occasionally big fucking wolves.
Oh, right. Except the wolves suck.
Oh, yeah, no, they're useless.
Absolutely terrible. So you're both basically going from point A to point B. It's fairly linear. Every now and then there will be a branch off to the side that'll have like some side quest stuff. The side quests, and by quest, I mean it's like it'll be like a room full of enemies to clear, or like a gauntlet where you have to clear like 3 stages, and it's all for more crafting materials.
Yeah.
Which are, you know, more just like sigils, I guess.
Yeah, which you can use to upgrade what you currently have or make new ones.
Yeah.
Or it'll be a branching path that just leads back to the main path a little way down the... Like, it's not...
Yeah.
There isn't really multiple paths that you can take.
Nope. There are not choices to be made. There's no real, like, oh, you could be a good guy or a bad guy, or, like, have any of your choices affect the story at all. It's not that kind of game, which I don't mind, right? Like, you don't need that to tell a story.
Everything doesn't have to be open world.
No. Really, a lot of the game then comes down to the crafting of the spells, which is clunky at times.
Maddening?
And by at times, I mean almost all the time. And sometimes it's worse than others.
Confusing? Infuriating? Weird?
Yeah. So, like, the base crafting you kind of get. And, like, there's... Once you get used to, like... so for the... Right. Targeted... What you have to know is that, like, there's a bunch of symbols. Which symbol is which. They don't tell you. But each, like, the big ray from your hand versus the bolt that, like, homes versus the orb, they have different symbols.
Yeah.
But they're all variations on the same base symbol. So all the targeted have, like, the same base symbol, and they all have different, like, flourishes, depending on whether it's... And so, like...
Jesus.
Yeah. That's how you know whether or not you're going to craft an orb or a ray or that kind of thing.
Honest to God, didn't pay any attention to that.
Yep.
I mean, I would look at the, in the off chance I was actually crafting a spell, because the, different components tell you what it is they're going to do in the name. I would just go by that and not the sigil. Because, Jesus, there's a lot going on in this game that it does not tell you.
Yeah. And then, eventually, you can craft a elite shape or whatever, and that shit is cryptic.
Yeah. Yeah, it fucking is.
When they're like, hey, you can craft this now, and you're like, cool.
Yeah, when you're
how?
Like over halfway through the game, like, you get a synergy now. Fucking, you did it, buddy. Yeah, and then they leave it at that.
And then you finally figure out how to craft your synergy, and then it takes you an entire level to figure out how to equip your synergy, because they don't tell you that.
Yeah, but then when you finally get it equipped, and then you use it, and you're like, holy shit.
That should have been in the game from the beginning, because it's way more interesting.
Yes. Yes, and the different combinations. Yes.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the different spells that you get, you said Fire and Ice and the Gravity.
Yep.
There was also Lightning, Corruption, Necromancy, Delirium, and Phase. Fire, Lightning, Ice. Pretty self-explanatory. Kinetic is weird, because by default, it debuffs enemies and, like, locks them in place.
Yeah, so that's the Gravity is technically kinetic. And it default is, it applies a debuff so that they take more damage and then immobilizes them.
Necromancy, you would think that you just summon the dead. No, it's a status effect that if you kill an enemy that has that, then their skeleton jumps out of their meat suit and fights for you. Delirium, you take over somebody, so it's kind of like necromancy, except it's not as useful because you can only do one at a time instead of necromancy where you end up with like an army of soldiers.
Yeah, but you don't have to kill them with delirium. You just take them.
True. Corruption's an odd one.
I never used it, so I can't really say.
When you hit something with corruption, it does damage, and by default it kind of works like a timed mine, where it hits them a little bit, and then after 3 seconds it pops. And it makes like this weird sort of pustule come on them.
Sure.
And if you kill something with it, so you get the sigil to stack on them in a weird system that it also doesn't explain, and we can get into in a minute.
I still don't know what that does.
I figured it out, but what corruption does is makes this a bunch of bugs come out of them, and then the bugs attack other enemies. And if you get that sigil to stack, then you get this gross swarming, or this gross hive that floats over your head and just shoots shit out at stuff. If it did more damage, it'd probably be useful, because otherwise it's just irritating hearing that constant buzzing as it's going. And that's another thing I didn't understand with necromancy. Occasionally, I would get this floating skull with just like bone bits going around it, and I had no idea what the fuck that did. Oh, and then phase, which teleports shit.
Yeah.
But you hit something, and then it like slowly teleports, I don't know, like 10 or so feet away. So like one enemy, you could just like stun lock the fuck out of them and there's nothing they can do about it, which was handy for the big dudes, except it doesn't hit that hard, so it takes forever.
Yeah, I just used the kinesis on them because immobilization, lol.
Oh, I mean, that's what I ended up doing. In fact,
also that debuff is insane.
That debuff is stupid.
Like, after using anything else, I was like, why wouldn't I just use kinesis? Because it makes you deal like double damage.
I used all of them, and I would mix it up to keep the gameplay interesting. The sigils, so what happens is once you hit enough, like, hit an enemy with fire, and occasionally they get the fire symbol over their head.
Yes.
And then if you kill them, the fire sigil comes into you, and then the base attack starts to glow.
Sometimes.
For fire, it does extra damage.
My Nova would often be the one that glows.
Okay, so then it would have been the Nova that would do extra damage. For lightning, right? I would get that a lot with lightning. Lightning, you throw this sort of like homing electro ball out, which doesn't hit that hard. But if you get that sigil, instead of throwing a little ball of lightning, you just throw an arc of lightning out, and it tears shit apart. It does so much more damage. It doesn't make sense. I would have it where like the normal ball would do like 1,300 damage, and then it'd change the arc and it'd do 36,000. Like, such a stupid amount. I couldn't even freaking conceive it. Like when it hits something and it arcs through and then it does extra damage to the other shit it hits. Why isn't it always doing this? Holy crap.
Huh. Because sometimes, yeah, I would have it trigger on my kinesis, and like it would do some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Because I would hit someone with my gravity ball, and then like it would like do this big gravity explosion. It would like bubble out, and like everyone in the entire area would just be stun locked. That was fun.
At the end, my kinetic did that too, because our final boss encounter, I think we had about the same shit going into it.
About, yeah.
Which is mainly kinetic and fire.
Yeah, because it does so much damage.
It really does. It's stupid. It's good. Oh, man.
Yeah. That was the thing. It was like, I tried a few other things, and then, like, if you just charge a kinetic ball, hit someone with it, switch to fire, charge your fire shot, and hit them, I don't know. My base attack was doing, like, 20,000 damage. Counting it as 2 attacks, because kinesis then fire, I would 2-shot every base enemy in the game. Kinesis fire, dead. Kinesis fire, dead. Kinesis fire, dead. Didn't matter. 2 shots, they're done.
So, along with some of that weird shit, phase, right? Like, I tried to use phase because it's so weird, right? And with the different crafting, the way that it changes spells is very interesting. But phase, the AoE, locks stuff in this bubble, right? Which is handy as shit for just taking something out of the fight. Because you can just hit a bunch of dudes with that. And then as you upgrade that, it holds them in there for longer and longer. So, like, I had it up to, like, 30 seconds.
That's not bad.
No, right? So any of the big dudes, we just take them out, focus on the little guys, hit them with another bubble so the timer resets, and then start laying into them. And the bubble, any damage that comes into it, it stacks. But it doesn't apply that until you tear them back out of the bubble. So you have to hit them with the base phase charged attack, which teleports them out of that bubble, right? While they're teleporting, you can see the damage just start to flash. Bam, 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 bam. If it kills them while they're teleporting, time slows down. And I did that once on accident, and I didn't know what the fuck happened. Besides, like, time was slowed now, except my charging was the same speed, so I was just tearing shit apart. And it never explained, like, why that happened. Like, where the fuck? Where's the tutorial for that? Oh my god.
See, that's, again, sounds kind of cool. Wish I'd known that could be a thing, because you don't for most of the things.
No, and a lot of my spellcrafting was trial and error. Like, I would just randomly end up with shit. Like, one time, all of my fire attacks ended up applying effects, so nothing did direct damage, which just neutered all of my fire spells. Great. My hardest hitting spell at that time, useless.
Because the, like, setting people on fire is a terrible effect. It's like, here's this little dot, and you're like, yeah, except fire's base, just like attack, does so much damage. Why would you switch off of that?
Yeah, but kinetic, let's go with, because this is the most drastic change for me. It starts off with a ball that you lob that, explodes into 3 smaller ones that branch outward.
Yeah, it's a Merv grenade.
Yeah.
You literally throw this ball that arcs. It doesn't throw in a straight line. It arcs, and when it hits something, either a person or the ground, it shoots 3 smaller balls out in like a flower pattern. And anything that the main ball or the small balls hit gets kinesis of immobilize and debuff.
So I crafted that into a homing attack, which shot out a slow-moving projectile that would hit an enemy, and then they would just float in the air a couple feet off the ground.
Yeah,
so
that's
it'd take them out of the fight.
One of the other kinesis effect is levitation, where levitated enemies don't get the debuff, but they can't attack. Immobilized enemies can still attack. Levitated enemies literally just float there like, I'm dumb.
Right, but mine would do damage. Except that it wouldn't apply the damage until I hit him with something else. So it would 400 damage, but it wouldn't show up until something else hit it, and then it would stack that 400 once they smacked into the ground, right?
Yeah.
Only I could throw that multiple times, and they would just get farther and farther into the air. And then, if I hit them with, say, a fireball, it's that base damage plus the 1200 after they smack into the ground, just all rolled into one nice, neat little package. So I upgraded that again, or I crafted a new one, where it was also a homing attack, but it applied the debuff again.
Okay.
Only instead of the slow-moving projectile, it shot straight forward like a rocket, super fast, but it didn't home.
I like that less.
I love that.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it shot out fast enough that I could, I wouldn't have to lead something too much, and then it would debuff and pin them in place. And just that fireball explosion, or hit a bunch of enemies running towards me, lightning, chain all through them, and then they explode.
Yeah, the whole game is basically all this spells stuff, and it's really hard because there's some cool stuff going on, right? And some of the synergies are really cool and stuff.
Oh my god, the synergies!
Yeah, but there's so much of the game it doesn't bother to explain, and so much of it is just, again, you have to force through trial and error, as you're just like, what's this do? And then you make a spell that sucks, and now you have to stop and try to craft a new spell. Otherwise, you're just made yourself worse on accident.
And God forbid you broke down something that you were using for a part of it, and now you're SOL.
Yeah. You get drops randomly. The rarity of the drops goes up every time you hit a checkpoint without dying, which is a okay system.
Up to
5.
5, yeah.
It rewards you for not dying, which I never really had an issue with. I think bosses are almost the only thing that killed me in this game.
I had a couple times where I would run off a cliff, accidentally, where I'm trying to phase around to dodge shit, and then whoops.
Yeah, some of the lieutenants I lost to, I definitely did.
There's a few times where I just get mob rushed.
Yeah, you face a guy who's got knockdown, like a ranger or a arrow dude with knockdown, and you're just wham, I'm on the ground. Cool. Stand up. Oh, there's one of those stupid demon lizard things that all have knockdown. It bites me. I'm knocked down again. Stand up. Archer already has another arrow knocked down again.
Or the knockdown banshee scream so you freeze in place while dudes are wailing on you, only for you to come out of that and get hit with another fucking knockdown arrow, and you just get your ass beat.
Mm-hmm. That is actually one of my bigger complaints about the game, is opponents CCing you. For those not big into, I guess, mostly MMOs, I don't know, CC's probably used somewhere else, is crowd control. It's things like knockdown, paralysis, that kind of stuff. Things that take enemies out of the fight without necessarily dealing damage. And that's what, like, enemies can CC the shit out of you. And in a single player game, that feels real weird.
What I don't understand is, with the exception of knockdown, everything they do to you, you can do to them. Like, because they'll hit you with the same, like, debuffs and anchors. And, like, that's fine. You can freeze them, they can freeze you. That's fair. I don't hate that. But why can't I knock them down?
Nope, that's not a thing.
Why can't I just fucking force push them away?
Not a thing. I don't know. I never feel like that's feels like a good thing. It doesn't, as a player, it never feels good to just be like taken out of a fight in which it feels like you have no control, because you're facing 3 enemies that all rolled on this random table of modifiers, which there's like knockdown, enraged, something, cursed, big health. There's a whole list of things that they can have.
Yeah.
And you have 2 of them have knockdown, and you're like, what?
Yeah, and there are things that you can do to take them out of the fight, albeit momentarily, while you deal with other stuff to just try and get them off your back, assuming you have the correct loadout for that.
Yeah. And so sometimes you just get like knockdown locked, basically. It's real cool. Since your block, your novas, is directional, you can't block people who are shooting from behind you. And some enemies teleport. By some, I mean like a good third of them.
Yeah, all of the spellcasters?
Yeah.
Because why shouldn't they just teleport?
Except it's the melee demon that teleports. The spellcaster demons don't.
Right. The one with the tentacles that throw the bullshit at you? Yeah.
They also slow you.
Yeah, and they slow you, and then they teleport in and try and punch you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great fun.
I mean, that, if you get that block right, that's pretty satisfying. But that's just about the only thing you can do with them.
Yeah, kill them faster. Hit them with a tornado.
Yeah, hit them with a fucking fire and ice tornado and watch as everything dies. So what synergies did you end up using besides the fire and ice tornado?
Just fire and ice, and gravity and fire was the meteor.
The
Kinesis
meteor.
is my fire.
So I was trying out some of the different ones, assuming I had the shit to craft it, which one of the things I don't like is there isn't a synergy for every spell combination.
No. I think it's mostly set up so that you should be able to probably have 2, depending on how you select things. Mm-hmm. But having 3 is really not.
I don't think you can have 3.
I believe you can't, but I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that's how they designed it, is that like they expect you to have fire or lightning as a base because those are the main damage dealers, and then it's like branched off of there, kind of, basically.
Fire, certainly. Not lightning.
No?
There's only one you get with lightning.
Sure.
Well, maybe there's more that you get with lightning, and I just wasn't using them, because it was the lightning and kinetic that made the lightning elemental.
Yeah, there's ones that have lightning as well. I don't remember what they are, but I have to double check.
Yeah, because I had the lightning elemental, which was cool. It's just a giant ball of lightning that goes around and fucks shit up. I tried the fire golem, which isn't bad, but it just launches ranged attacks from wherever you cast it. The supernova, which that's super brief. Like, all the other ones have like decent animation, and this one is just like bright ball of light and everything dies. The like gravity well, that one's cool. Or it sucks a bunch of shit in, and then it's a blood explosion, which is funny when it's cultists, and like that makes sense. They're demons, they have blood. But when it's just a bunch of skeletons and then it's just goopy explosion, well, that's weird.
Where'd all that goo come from?
Like, I'm kind of into it, but okay. And Meteor's good.
It's also very brief, but I mean, you just and then BAM!
Yeah. Oh, I did use the necromancy one like once or twice, which is interesting. You just summon a big ass bone golem.
Bone golem.
And it doesn't last nearly as long as you feel like it should.
That's unfortunate, because that fire ice tornado lasts longer than I think it should.
Yeah, because that fire and ice tornado is broke.
Yeah, it just like tears through an entire room of people, and you're like, I mean, I was gonna attack at some point, but I guess you've got this.
Hey, look at that, it's charged again. Whee!
Yeah, because your meter, like, once it's charged, it doesn't deplete immediately, so that the ultimate that you cast doesn't immediately refill it. So, like, the meteor, you don't get any back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the fire and ice tornado lasts so long that your meter actually empties out, and because it does ice damage, starts to refill from the fire ice tornado. And if there's enough enemies, it will refill itself, so that by the time it goes out, you can just recast it. Which feels broken.
Well, so by the end, I was trying to have 3 different synergies.
Yeah.
But the game was not having it. I couldn't make a lightning synergy to finish out the trifecta I had going of fire, lightning, and kinetic.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 2 of them, and you need to use one of the spells to fill up your meter. Yes. Only for both of them, it was fire. And then because I was constantly kinetic, fire, kinetic, fire, kinetic, fire. Like, it refilled so goddamn quick. It was amazing. Just every fucking, 5 seconds. More special. More special. Ha 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 ha. Everything should be exploding. But that's only because, and we haven't touched on it yet, this game is so fucking repetitive.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably ascertain that from the levels are extraordinarily linear. And as we said, there's really not that many enemy types. And you face them from the beginning of the game. Like, they don't change.
No.
At all. They have the same voice lines, so you get to hear them. And I had to play this game with the sound on because I was freaking streaming it, so I had to listen to the stupid shit they were saying this whole time. So it's the same voice lines the entire game. And, like, running past enemies, part of it was to make sure I won the race, which I did. And part of it was just, I was tired of the battles. Like, a battle with 5 of the generic mooks is just boring. They're never going to kill me, period. Especially by the end, my shields were huge. Like, base enemies could hit me, and you would barely notice a dent in my shields.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what your shields were at, but mine were, like, several thousand thick.
Okay. I finished the game, and it was at 3,000, right?
Yeah.
And then I started looking at the endgame shit, where you get 5 portals, you have to close some bullshit for Roth, whatever, right? Instead of doing that, I hop back to the ice level.
Yeah.
To pick up some of the wave of enemies, giant loot explosion that I'd missed out on because I was just trying to get through it. I got a shield that it jumped me from 3,000 to 9,000.
Yeah, right? That's about where I was. Like, things would hit me and I would just kind of laugh.
Yeah, except that my shield, like, even though the number went up, the damage that was incoming didn't change. It still knocked out the same amount.
Yeah, no. Like, I would resist so much damage until, like, one enemy would just, like, truck me. I don't know. It was weird.
Well, I think my problem was that I ended up on, like, new game content, right?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't just take out the early game mooks with my normal base fire, which should have killed them. I had to still, like, hit them with the kinetic and then the fireball to do, like, fucking 24,000 damage before they drop.
Yeah. Yeah, it was unfortunate. The game ended and it was like, oh, you want to play New Game Plus? And I was like, I kind of don't. Like, I want to just go back to the base game just so I can tinker with stuff.
Yeah. Fun fact, if you hit New Game Plus, it's just those portals. It doesn't start the game over.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we've mostly covered this game. It's a really weird one for me and probably for you too.
Yeah.
Because it has so much almost going for it. And some stuff actually going for it. And it just never delivers.
Before you get to your wrap up, right? There is a couple things I wanted to hit on.
Sure.
One, like, it looks pretty good.
I have no issues with the graphics. None.
I don't know what updating they've been doing since its release, or like if it just looked good when it came out.
Yeah.
Like, it looks fine. The voice acting, I think the voice acting's done really well.
Yeah, I mean, the enemies all only have one voice line, so it gets incredibly repetitive, but...
Yeah. But I mean, everybody else.
Yeah.
Roth is played by Clancy Brown, so as soon as the game started, I was like, well, clearly he's going to be the bad guy in the end. And props to the game for not doing that bullshit. I was streaming, and Elsa, who has been on the podcast before for some Sonic, had said that she liked the idea of a good Lich, because it's what he is. Like, Shaxx is trying to stop these cultists. And in
Roth
fact...
is trying to stop the
yeah,
cultists.
Roth is trying to stop Shaxx. Sorry, thank you. When the Griffin gets captured, you get a cutscene with Roth, who's like, I wanted the dragon to command my troops so that we could move in and take out Shaxx. But they're going to go off and rescue the Griffin, so I guess fuck that. Which was interesting. And I'm not for the idea of a good Lich, but that's kind of a neat spin. I gotta give him that. Also, the end where you're going up to the Doomsday device, there's some throwaway line about how the war there never stopped and that both sides are still like trying to take each other out for control over it, even though both sides are dead.
Yeah.
Which is why you have all the skeletons that are just up fighting each other. That's fucking cool.
Yeah, it has some interesting-ish lore. I don't like the way it's delivered. I found those things, and again, I started skipping them very early on because I found them to be really breaking up the game.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a fucking hard break
They
every
just
time you come to that.
Pull the game to a screeching halt if you want the lore. So it's hard to really kind of actually get that to actually play the game like I feel like it should be played, and I've somehow amazingly managed to not make this comparison until now because I've told you multiple times this game is Doom. It's Doom 2016. That's
it wants to be
what this game wants to be, and it's close. A lot of the combat, like you just run and dodge and high paced just action combat, slinging spells. There's no mana to restrict you. You just kind of switch between what you got, drop some synergies,
we haven't touched on that at all, and that is one thing they fucking knocked out of the park. There is no mana gauge to fucking manage. You just throw spells all goddamn day.
Yeah.
And that feels good.
It's this very just like high-paced first-person shooter that uses spells instead of guns, and it's so close. So close. But it's just, there's enough things that it's like, the lore gets buried for me because it just pulls you out of the game to listen to it. The spellcrafting is complicated and weird that like you have to stop and just like try to figure it out, and that just completely bogs down the game. So there's a lot of the game I don't hate, and there's a lot of things that I think the game just doesn't execute nearly well enough to be a good game, but I don't think it's a bad game.
No, I'm with you 100%. It's not the spellcrafting, which is fucking complicated and weird, and by the end, like, I had a good handle on it, which I hate. That shouldn't be the case. They should have found a better way to ease you into it, to make it more accessible, and it is complicated because you can do a lot with it. Although, everything still feels kind of samey, which really bothered me too.
Yes.
Like, I'm switching up my spells, they're all doing like slightly different things, but they're all like casting the same way, and they're all doing the same things. It's either a different kind of debuff or a different kind of area of effect. And we were bitching about this early on. I have a fireball. How come my fucking fireball doesn't explode when I hit stuff with it? That's really all I wanted. That is really it. And, like, it hits hard enough like it should, but it doesn't have any splash damage, which is what I want from a fucking fireball, not a firebolt.
Yeah.
And, like, I like the story, and you're right. Instead of doing an audio log, you have to sit there and listen to it, which grinds the fast-paced action they're going for to a goddamn halt, and that sucks. And, like, there's journal entries all over, and I didn't bother reading.
Yeah, there are.
Nor am I sure where the fuck you even read those at.
I don't know. I would constantly pick up these scrolls that I have no idea what they were for.
Yep. And like,
they were like, scroll, and I'm like, cool.
I like the world that they built of what I saw, right? But you don't really get to see that because it's background, and that's kind of where I prefer it, because that's not what you're here for. You're here for linear shooter. If it wasn't so repetitive, and that's what really kills me, it's like, I would be content playing this game for an hour at a time. That's not what we were doing. We were trying to race, so we had to play for longer. And like, I would change my spells up to keep it fresh for me as I was playing, because I had to. Otherwise, it gets so fucking boring.
Yeah, it's, as I said, because I tend to do that thing where I try to be like the best, and like the just gravity fire combo to me was one of the best combos you had.
That's what I ended up with because it is.
It shreds people. So I just was using that like almost the whole game, and yeah, it gets real boring when you're just like walk into combat, people pop out. I already have a gravity ball charged. Hit the nearest person, switch to fire, that person's dead. Duck behind the cover, recharge gravity ball. Do it again. This is combat.
Even though the way that necromancy works in here, like the way that it's a status and then you have to kill them before you get your undead soldier, is awkward. But I think by the time I stopped using it, I had 6 of them on the field at any one time. And like, that's fucking awesome. I would just... Because they stay in an area until you come up on new enemies and they just teleport in and then they just start fucking shit up. And they would just keep stuff off my back.
Sounds so nice.
It was fantastic. I hated giving them up, but I wanted to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Because like it was starting to get boring. So I switched to Delirium, which is cool because you can have enemies fight enemies, but you can only do one. And like switching from Necromancy to that, boy, it really feels like I just hampered my own shit. Like now I've got one soldier who's okay versus my army of the dead who were pretty fucking good.
I mean, that's recommendations is hard for this one. I don't not recommend it. We got it as part of a bundle for like $5.
Yeah.
The game itself I think is only $10 when it's not on sale now, obviously, 5 years later. So if it's on sale, I imagine it drops to $5 or less. At $5, it's not bad. It's not good. It's an interesting time. It's like if you want. So as weird as it like is, you'd think about the game like this. I would not recommend it for someone who really likes RPGs.
No,
because you think, oh, it's gonna be some fantasy game. No, don't do that. It is an action game with fantasy wallpaper.
100%. Yeah.
It's a first-person action shooter. I've managed to not say it all the time. It's Doom, but with fantasy wallpaper. It's not as good as Doom, so if you haven't played Doom, play that first.
No. If you're going to play both of these, play this first and then play Doom.
Well, yeah, because if you play Doom first, it'll ruin this game for you. Because you'll be like, why am I not just playing through Doom again?
Yeah.
Which I get.
Which is fair.
But like if you've already beat Doom and you're like, I want a game that's kind of like that, but maybe weird. This is a game. It's probably cheap.
And I think if this is normally $10, and this sounds like the kind of thing that's up your alley. If you like shooters, if you like fantasy as a genre, you should check this out. Like, fuck, bully for you if it's on sale. $5, shit, yes. I'm not mad that, we got it in a bundle with some other shit, but $5 for this? There's enough shit here, and even if I didn't like the whole package, but there is enough things in here that I like that I enjoyed my time with, that I think $5, hell, I don't even hate $10. Like, if I had to pay $10 for this, I'd been okay with that. Because the campaign itself is longer than your typical shooter campaign, which clocks in, 3-5 hours somewhere in there, I think, on average.
Yeah, this was... I don't remember our final times. Again, we were racing, so mine was just over 7 hours. You were probably on 8-ish, 9?
8.5, 9, yeah. And that's, trying to rush a bit, yeah.
Exactly. As I said, by the time we got to, the 4th level, I basically sprinted past every basic enemy in the game. I almost never engaged in combat for the back half of the game.
Yeah, I do think, though, if you're going to play this game, set yourself, a time, an hour and a half, and then stop, because the repetition is really going to grind on you.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily that. Just play it, and, if you're just I don't feel like fighting anymore, dudes, just stop. Pick it up in a couple days. You'll probably be like, yeah, hitting people with fireballs. And then, a level or 2 later, you're like, more fireballs. And just stop.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it definitely overstays its welcome over long periods of time because it's very repetitious. But it's not actively bad, and there's some really interesting things. And I wish they had introduced the interesting things earlier as well as actually explained them.
That's asking way too much.
It is, apparently. So... hard recommendation of, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
A game that's not actually actively bad, but I can't probably actually call good. I don't know. I had fun at times. Oh, also just the first 3 they give you is Fire, Ice, and Kinesis. Just keep those.
Get rid of Ice.
They're the best 3. Oh, no, because then you lose the Tornado. And then the first energy it lets you make the Tornado and Tornado. Tornado. Destroy them all. Seriously, that thing's ridiculous.
That thing is fucking ridiculous. Like, I was watching you. Like, that fucking final boss. Jesus.
To explain to people, like, you've heard some of the numbers we were talking about. This thing did, like, 500 to 700 damage a tick, which was about every, like, I don't know, half second. It also, anything that it pulled into it, which it did the damage to all enemies that it pulled enemies into it, which lifts them off the ground and prevents them from attacking. So it would just collect enemies, they couldn't attack you, and that whole time, it was just blasting them with damage.
It's impressive to watch.
My God.
Well, shit, what do we do now?
Now we go to letters from listeners.
Letters?
Listeners?
Listeners like them?
Kind of. So we're going to do a quick one real here because we've been talking for a while. So we got another listener question. Kind of. This is the 16th question from this listener. So if you've been following along, you know who this is. They're saying, I know you love sports games. What obscure sport would you want to see made into a game?
Well, I gotta think of like one that wouldn't already be a game. Like, I know there's curling games.
Yeah, see, right. And then Jake has to actually figure out what sports are.
Yeah, and there's cricket games. There's gotta be beer pong ones.
No one wants cricket games. Unless it lasts as long as an actual cricket game lasts. If I had a cricket video game that lasted like 48 hours, I'm not in on that at all. That sounds terrible. Why do people like cricket?
That's how I feel about, like, I like baseball, in that if I have to pick a sport that I like, I will say baseball. But I do not have the patience for a season of actual baseball or, like, a fucking game. Like, I would love to get into a baseball game, but I can't because you have to play, like, every fucking game in a season. Son of a bitch, who's got time for that? That takes so fucking long.
Oh, you just want to play 9 innings 162 times for a single season?
Jesus Christ, no, I don't want that. But I also, like, I find, like, simulators boring, so, like, I don't even want to fucking do that either.
Obscure sports. Well, I guess I could go, because this listener knows, I don't think there's any fencing games, although I don't know how you would do that.
I believe Wii Sports.
I don't count that.
I mean, it's not fencing.
It is not.
It's more akin to kendo. And it's not that either.
Yeah. So fencing would be cool. I don't know how you would do that, but I mean, that's the sport I did for years. So what you got?
Polo.
Regular or water kind?
Horse. So regular?
That's regular.
Oh no, horses in the water?
No.
Make them fuckers swim. I mean, I don't want to play that, but I don't like sport games though.
You don't like sports or sport games?
I don't like sports, no. What I want is a good fucking boxing game. I actually like boxing.
Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yeah, I stand by what I said.
All right. That was a fun little question. Name some more obscure sports. Zubadabba.
Highline?
I don't know. What the fuck do they do in the Olympics? They do dressage. There we go. I want a dressage video game. Make it happen.
You can't tell me that there's not some, like, rodeo game that there's not a dressage section in.
I don't know.
There might not be, but...
Someone find me some dressage video game. Send it to us. We'll play it for the podcast. Because I guarantee you there's no way that's good.
How would you know? What do you know about dressage?
You have horses. You dress them up. They gallop around to the music.
They dance.
Woo!
Yeah, if they're not going to stand up on their hindquarters and do a river dance, frankly, I'm not that impressed.
All right.
But I know it takes a lot of time and effort to train a horse to do that.
It does. I'm seeing if there's a dressage video game. Anyway, we're going to do those plugs.
All right. Let me get this out of the way.
Sure.
I'll start with my Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Jake Prey. You can find us on Twitch collectively at twitch.tv/TheBadGameCast. We stream Monday through Thursday. Usually, I think we're going to take Wednesday and Thursday off in June. Take a break, summer break for the race. Are we still going to do Monday and Tuesday? We should probably talk about this sometime.
We should probably actually discuss it.
Yeah, we don't have to do that right now. Normally, we stream Monday through Thursday. Any changes to that, we will keep you posted in the official Bad Gamecast Twitter. You can also find us on Reddit. That's r/The Bad Gamecast. All the new episodes get published there. All the old ones are still there too. Also listed by episode number, which I wish I did that normally, but it's really not that important. We don't have a story we're telling. These are all one-offs, baby. Also, the Bad Gamecast, I'm on Reddit every day, trying not to harass Final Fantasy and Sonic fans. Sonic fans ban me like a bunch of fucking cowards, but I still find a way. God damn it, there's always a way. Otherwise, I do try and get on there and shoot for friendly discussion. Hit me up on there. Or us, if you got something for Jason. Jason, what do you got?
I wasn't paying attention, so what did you actually plug? Because I found the Equestrian. It's a video game with dressage.
I'm in.
So we've got that to look forward to. But so what did you actually? I heard Reddit and Twitch. So you covered Twitter. The email is thebadgamecast@gmail.com. Drop us questions, comments, concerns, suggestions. We obviously had a quick little question here. We'd love more questions. Big or small, tough or hard, whatever. Drop them to us. Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. We got a Facebook. I don't update it. I'm the only one who has the password. So that's a shame.
To be fair, I do not want the password.
I get that. So there's a Facebook. It may or may not be updated. You find out. It's like rolling dice.
It's like rolling weighted dice. I can tell you what the answer is. The answer is yes. Ho-ho, fucking surprise.
Boo! And then finally, to wrap up our plugs, the Patreon. I still don't know how to actually link it anywhere or tell you how to search for it because I can't ever find it myself, other than the fact that I know how to log into it because I have the password. So, Patreon, the Bad Gamecast. Support us, maybe? I feel like that was a very strong endorsement.
I love it. I don't know. As always, if you want to support us in other ways, you can also tell your friends. Check out the Bad Gamecast.
Yeah. Be like, hey, listen to these fucking weirdos.
Yay! I do everything else.
I don't think so.
All right, for the Bad Gamecast, I've been Jake.
Jason.
Good night, everybody!
Seriously though, the Equestrian.
How much is it? What is it?
The first simulator associated with USEF features the three most popular equestrian events: jumping, cross country, and dressage.
Yes.
You can get it for like $12 on Amazon. Except there's only one copy available.
Oof. We can share, right?
It's actually on PC, so we might be able to acquire it.
I don't know how to spell equestrian. It is not on Steam. Riding Club Championships. That's free. Horse riding tales? What? No dressage. Worst game ever. Get the fuck out of my face. Horse riding tales. What do you got? Jason, Horse Riding Tales is an MMO. Did we just do horse games now?
Well, I'm currently reading a game review for the Equestrian on horsenation.com.
Oh my god. Your number one spot for all your horse news?
So this is happening.
Wait, what nation is it?
Horse Nation. Horsing around the world.
Fuck a duck.